that moves us to the final team in this division. The Baltimore Ravens last year finished 12-4. Finally got the monkey out their back, and Lamar Jackson got that first playoff victory against the Tennessee Titans, and then quickly got squashed by the Buffalo Bills the following week. The Baltimore Ravens, just one of the more consistent teams in football, and ever since Lamar Jackson has entered that offense, he's been a godsend for John Harbaugh and that team. This year, I have them improving by one game. I have them winning the division, going 13-4. And they also added a weapon for Lamar Jackson, obviously gained Rashod Bateman there in the first round. So they're trying to build pieces. They're trying to make this a more passer-friendly offense. Is this going to be conducive to their success in the AFC North playoff picture? What do you think?
Yep, I agree here. I'm not too far off. I actually have them also winning the division and with a record of 12-5. So one less victory. Again, I just think this division's quite difficult. But that being said, like, I think that they're going to kind of return to form that we saw in 2019. They definitely had some challenges last year that I think are going to ultimately be fixed. A lot of it coming down to their offensive line. So obviously you can tell I'm a big proponent for offensive line work. So in 2019, they were third in run blocking and first in pass blocking, which I think ultimately led to a lot of the success for Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram, who I'll get into in just another second. Last season, they didn't quite have that type of success. They were 10th in pass blocking and 14th in run blocking. I think they have a positive regression here towards back to what they used to be like in 2019. And so what you're going to end up finding is much healthier protection for Lamar Jackson, giving them more options. I think you're going to see a step up from Marquise Brown. As you mentioned, Rashod Bateman. They add Sammy Watkins, who's good for like 2 games in the beginning of the year. He just balls out in the first 2 games. And you don't hear from him the rest of the year, but those 2 games could be relevant. And then again, on the passing side, like that offense runs through Mark Andrews from Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I think they're going to be good. And again, their defense is, top notch, top quality, but the guy that I think will have a great season, I know a lot of people are fading him, is J.K. Dobbins. We need to stop fading this man. The Commish team has him ranked at RB19, which I think is insane. I think he's much better than that. But with that being said, I understand some of the pods for concern with Gus Edwards from a fantasy perspective, but from an NFL perspective, it's like they're both going to be good. And in my opinion, I think you're going to see J.K. Dobbins look much more like a Mark Ingram when he finished in 2019 as the overall RB8. That team is going to be solid.
So you're saying there's an opportunity for 2 fantasy relevant running backs in Baltimore this year?
Yeah, if you're going to have him, it's going to be, one's going to be like an RB24. So he'll be kind of a back end running back 2. That's Gus Edwards. I think J.K. Dobbins finishes closer to an RB1. He'll return value if you draft him at an RB19.
Hey, tickets all aboard for the Gus bus this year. That's what I'm hearing.
Everyone likes it. Yeah.
Everyone likes the Gus bus. Okay, well, when it comes to the Ravens, though, you always have to talk about, yes, can Lamar Jackson take that next step in the passing game? Of course, again, mentioning their ability to go out there and get Rashod Bateman is a huge addition for this team. But what does it do for the weapons around him? Because Devin Duvernay obviously was expected to take a role. Miles Boykin expected to take a role. And then, of course, Hollywood Brown. Is there enough volume in this offense for these guys to eat? Or is it just strictly going to be run game Mark Andrews?
Yeah, I think it's more of the same, although I do think that the option to have a Rashod Bateman on the other side who can make catches, assuming he can make catches, will obviously assist the passing work. So you add Sammy Watkins, who I still think is pretty good. And then I think, I'm waiting for Marquise Brown to like break out and like stay Hollywood Brown. Just stay Hollywood Brown. Don't show up as Hollywood Brown one week and then disappear to Marquise Brown the next week. Like, you need to stay at Hollywood Brown level. It's very possible, but it's a run first offense. They're not going to slow down any of Lamar Jackson's run work. And then, yeah, you're right. It really does flow through Mark Andrews from a passing perspective, but the compliments of Marquise Brown and Rashod Bateman will help this.
Now, Lamar Jackson, we kind of touched on him a little bit earlier when we were talking quarterbacks, currently having the quality starter field. But can he return to form back to where he was the previous year, this MVP year, when he was a set in, forget a guy weekly? Because there was just some down weeks last year. I don't know what that predictor may be, but he just was slightly off. Do you think it comes down to as simple as the added additions to the passing game add him a tier, basically?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it's really difficult to do what they did in 2019 again. But they weren't too far off. Lamar Jackson's completion percentage also kind of went down by 2 percentage points. I do think that this increases. I mean, if he can get back up to like a 66 to 67% completion percentage over the course of the season. This is going to ultimately help his run game. And I think that that's what you want to see, right? If he can figure out how to get his accuracy up even further, yeah, he's gonna be a dangerous quarterback. Like, so you'll if you get him, back into the first round in a super flex or early second round, depending on what type of league you're in. I mean, Lamar Jackson's gonna return value in my opinion.
Mark Andrews worthy of that top 5-round draft pick.
Top tight end.
Yeah, last year people were taking him around the 5th, 6th round, if I'm not mistaken. So this year, is he still worthy of that value? Because I think a lot of people would say they were a little bit disappointed with the season last year.
Yeah, it was a bit of a down year. Again, I think the whole offense had a bit of a down year, especially after the year that they had just had. So there's much more of a regression there. But I do think he returns back to form. Last year, I think he had a PFF grade of 81.8, which is 4th highest among tight ends. But in 2019, he sported a 90.8 PFF grade and had a number 1 total touchdowns rating in 10 for tight ends. So I think you're going to see much more of that in 2021. I think Mark Andrews gets back to form. I wouldn't say I don't think he's going to challenge Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle, but he could end up as the overall tight end 4.